What up, YouTube Live? How's it going, everybody? Right now it's Thursday, November 26th, way past midnight. Um, and you know what that means. The new or the latest new episode of Star Trek Discovery had just arrived, and I just finished watching it. Of course, and I'm here to give you, as always, my weekly thoughts about the episodes. So before we start, I just want to say to you guys, happy Thanksgiving. I know Thanksgiving is usually something that we celebrate on Thursday evening, not like this late, not late at night or this really early at dawn. But I just want to also remind you that this coming morning at, let me show it to you guys here, at 7 a.m. right here on Rama Screen YouTube channel, I will be going live stream. There you go. Can you see it? For a Thanksgiving Day live stream 1-hour Q&A. Thursday, November 26th, 7 a.m. Pacific time. And right here on Rama Screen YouTube channel, we'll talk a bit about some movie news. Maybe a little bit about Black Panther 2 or Wonder Woman 1984 hitting HBO Max, and I'll give some thankful shout outs as well, the people who I'm thankful for this past year, and some other opinions as well. And who knows, there might be some more surprises as well that I'm not willing to share right now at the moment. But tune in this coming morning in a few hours from now, 7 a.m. California time. Chat with me, ask me anything, but ask me nicely, okay? All right, so let's get right to Star Trek Discovery. The title is, where is that? Let's get to the title. Unification. There you go. And so, man, I got a lot of thoughts here. Let's just go through my bullet point. Last week, Michael got demoted, right? Because of insubordination. Because she didn't follow Saru's direct order. And I told you guys that I was on the side of Saru on that one. Because there's such a thing as chain of command. And if you are number one, you are expected to be number one. You're not some free-spirited rebel just going off anywhere at any time that you please, so I think I mentioned to you guys back in the first few episodes of this season when Saru picked Michael as number one. I told you guys, I think, yes, it's like it's like it fits, Saru the captain, Michael Burnham the number one, and then my favorite character Philippa Giorgio is just gonna be the usual ass kicker. So it's like, oh, it fits, the universe is well, the stars are aligned. But I've come to realize now that Michael Burnham is not a number one material. Like we talked about last week, she's just too much of a free spirit, instead of a by the book. And Saru needs someone that, by his side to depend on. And that's why we're going to get to Tillie soon enough about this. Yeah, I talk about with my friend who also is a Star Trek Discovery fan, and she agrees. And she said, like, for somebody who, wants the Federation to, succeed and to be whole again, Michael Burnham sure doesn't follow orders of the Federation, like at least the orders of the chain of command. Like, she's just doing her own thing. Like, for a girl who wants, the whole organization to be like back unit again, it's like, I mean, make up your mind. Which is it, Michael? That's her opinion, by the way, my friends. But yeah, so let's get to the next bullet point. So it seems that Tillie has been offered a higher position, a trusted commandant of Saru. And what are my thoughts about that? You know what, Tillie, I don't know about you guys, but I don't hate Tillie. Okay, don't get me wrong. I don't dislike her at all. She's just, she's not a comic relief, and she is sometimes a dependable friend. But you gotta admit, sometimes Tillie's personality kind of gets in the way. That's what I'm worried about. You give her a position of leadership, and a part of you will understandably be worried about that. I am. I'm like, and she is too. She's like, Saru talks to her like, oh my god, I'm gonna be responsible for people's lives. Like, yeah. Obviously, by the end of today's episode, as you may have seen, all her mates, if you will, put their trust in her. So, I mean, you can't get a better recommendation than that, if you want to get a new job. You got the whole people on the bridge saying, yes, say yes, Tillie. But the thing is, in my opinion, for the writers to go with Michael Burnham and then halfway through the season, we're gonna go with Tillie instead, or like, we're gonna give Tillie some sort of authority. I don't know. It's as if they, if I were to put myself in their shoes, they're like, what should we do about Tillie? You know what? Let's just do this, because it seems like they don't have maybe they don't have any other dilemmas or dramas in store for Tillie. But now that she's gonna be a position of leadership, that will open up more possibility of her arc going somewhere, as opposed to being stuck, which is what it was before today's episode. So I'm a little split on the decision about Tillie, or Saru's decision about Tillie. It's a little bit mixed feelings on my part. But again, I don't hate Tillie. I think she's a nice character, but we'll see whether or not she can carry through. With regards to Leonard Nimoy, can we give a shout out to the late great Leonard Nimoy? He showed up on this episode. Well, more like a projection of him, and it's interesting that the show went with that, as opposed to going with maybe making Ethan Peck look old, using makeup. Ethan Peck, of course, is the guy who played younger Spock in the previous season. So now they jumped 900 years into the future. Of course, Spock by now had already died, so the last image will be like Spock, old man Spock. So I was not hoping actually. The word I was expecting. There you go. I was expecting that they're gonna be like, oh, maybe Ethan Peck with, prosthetic to make him look old with the makeup and to make him look like Leonard Nimoy, old Leonard Nimoy. But no, man, they went with Leonard Nimoy, and man, that was awesome. Can we give a shout out? Hallelujah to the late great Leonard Nimoy. It was so refreshing watching his face show up, even though it's a freaking hologram or whatnot. And then for him to say his speech about Romulan and Vulcan. You know what? I gotta tell you, before I move on to the next bullet points, hearing him say that speech about unity and peace, achieving peace between these two, let's just say cultures, even though they're from the same kind of species, if you will, cultures that have been warring, for a long time. Hearing him say those speeches, man, or that speech, I should say, it kind of makes me feel like, wow, if only we had an ambassador like Spock, Leonard Nimoy, Spock, at the United Nations in New York, if only we could have Spock, Leonard Nimoy Spock, as the Secretary General of the United Nations. I mean, like, come on. He would have been, of all people, he would have been able to bring peace to the Middle East. I mean, let's face it. If anybody could, you know, bring Israel and Palestinians to hold hands and break bread, it's Leonard Nimoy. So watching him say that speech on that hologram, he just like, it's like, that's the kind of person, the kind of leadership, the kind of talk, the kind of ambassador that we lack in our real world right now, that we sorely need, that we, if only we could have that, man, if only. Daniel's hot topic is here. So Leonard Nimoy appeared in this episode. Were there any other flashback to William Shatner's Kirk, or maybe to the original Star Trek Enterprise? None that I remembered, none that I saw on this episode, unless there was a post-credit scene, but I don't think so, because usually the post-credit scene is a preview for next week's episode. So the answer to your question is I only saw Leonard Nimoy, and I mean, like, when Leonard Nimoy died, I was just heartbroken, man, just like you guys, devastated. I was in the middle of work at the moment. I mean, not at the moment, at that moment, with my coworkers, and I just couldn't focus on my work. I could not focus because all I thought was like, oh my God, we lost Leonard Nimoy. And to this day, it's still, you still feel the loss, man. And you will know how that feels when you see this episode with his face showing up. So yeah, Leonard Nimoy, great actor, great filmmaker as well. May he rest in peace. So the Takal in Ket, here's the thing. Romulans and Vulcans, now 900 years into the future, they're now kumbaya together again on the same planet. And then Vulcans has a new name, I think, called Navarre. And I'm thinking like, oh my goodness. These writers of Star Trek Discovery really take creative license to heart. I mean, like, I'm sure their excuse, like, hey, we're in the future now. We can make up whatever reality for these characters however we want. So now we got to keep up with some of these changes, if you will, right? Changes that many of us probably are not familiar with. So Navarre is a new name for Vulcans, and then they have Takal in Ket, which is sort of like a Senate hearing or congressional hearing. But what's funny about the hearing, Takal in Ket, is that it starts out that way, but then it quickly evolves into, or moves into, or morphs into a trial of Michael Burnham. I was watching that, I was cracking up, like, why is she like... I thought we're talking about whether or not she could get SB19, which is this sensitive burn data from Vulcans and Romulans. I thought it was about Michael Burnham making her case, why she is worthy of receiving that data. But then her advocate, which is her mom, who makes an appearance again, played by actor Sanjay San from one of my favorite series of all time, The Wire. If you haven't seen The Wire, you are missing out. The Wire is one of the greatest shows in the history of television. So she comes back as Gabrielle Burnham, and she's lived quite a life on the planet of Navarre. And so her role in this episode is pretty much, she's like Michael Burnham's attorney, advocate, attorney, lawyer, representation, whatever you want to call it. So initially that's what she was supposed to be, but then all of a sudden, as you've seen in the episode, I was like, what is going on? She's like, she starts psychoanalyzing her daughter, and at one point she even does character assassination. Character assassination is when you like dismantle somebody, basically. It's like, you're not telling the truth. Isn't it, isn't it true that you got fired just a moment ago? Like, what the? So she is discrediting her own daughter in front of the committee. I was like, what is going on? Of course, eventually, Gabrielle Burnham comes to the conclusion that, yeah, my daughter, now she's telling the truth. So it's like, to get to that point, she has to go through these moments of tough love. And I was watching that, and I was like, I was really feeling it for Michael Burnham, man. I was like, oh geez, I would not want to be in her shoes right now. My own mom saying these things about me in front of these people. And at one point I was just like, do you guys need a room, like, to settle this mother-daughter dilemma thing? It's like, do you guys need a counselor or something? My goodness, it was just, it got really awkward and uncomfortable for me to watch that. I felt uncomfortable for Michael Burnham, because it's like, you can tell she did not see that coming at all, By the way, did you notice how interesting it is that the Takal Inket happened or took place in a room that's sort of like located on one of the side parts of the ship. Like, you could tell, like, from the ceiling or the roof, it's diagonal. Or like it's like, really. That's how much they really value Takal Inket. Like, yeah, let's just give them a room that's on the far side. Or maybe because the room has good windows, which it does. So yeah, that part really got me. The whole thing with Michael Burnham and her mom, but I think it was sort of necessary, because I guess the point of all that whole character assassination, or whatever you call it, or psychoanalysis, is because her mom wants Michael to regain her confidence about belonging in that ship, or being part of the discovery. Up to that point, she has doubts, maybe like, I should leave or something. So yeah, it was tough to watch. It was tough love. It was very awkward, uncomfortable. If I were Michael Burnham, I probably would have been pissed off at my mother right there and then. But I guess a mother knows best, because she got Michael Burnham's confidence to come around again, and so there's something to thank about that. To thank about her mother's presence in this episode. I think those are the only bullet points I have on my note here. Before I go, and I want to thank you guys, especially Daniel's Hot Topics, for chatting with me. I want to show you guys my interview with Doug Jones. Doug Jones is the actor who plays Saru, and you may know him also from his many roles in Guillermo del Toro's movies, including The Shape of Water, where Doug Jones plays that fish fish creature. I interviewed him once on the red carpet, so I want to invite you guys. So just type in Rama Screen Doug Jones on YouTube. All right, I have the panel here, but I also have him on the carpet. So this was like 2016, I believe. So yeah, I was still kind of nervous about doing red carpet interviews. Here you go. See if I could turn on the volume, maybe, or maybe turn off the volume of the song, the music song. Here you go. All right, let's check this out.
I'm here, Rama, with one of my favorite of all time, Doug Jones. How you doing, sir?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. I gotta ask you this. Every time I met you, I haven't gotten around to ask you, what does a man have to do to always get cast in Guillermo del Toro and everything that he does?
Well, I have no idea, but he does. Bless his heart. I just finished my sixth film with him.
That is amazing.
So yeah, it was good. It was good. The Shape of Water. We just finished, and it comes out around this time next year. So late fall of 2017, and it's going to be a gorgeous, gorgeous film. So why he keeps coming back for me? I think it's because I keep saying yes. I don't think it's because I'm particularly talented. No, I don't know. I don't know. He's been very complimentary to me, and he'll tell you why. He's told me why, but I dare not repeat all that. It sounds so boastful. Like, well, because I'm fabulous, of course. I don't know.
Well, since this is a fan kind of event, or how do you call? What kind of collectibles do you collect? Do you collect?
Well, I was not a collector. Now I have quite a collection of action figures of all the characters I've played. I've been so many different. And again, that sounds.
All right. I'm gonna let you finish watching that at your own time. So yeah, that's Doug Jones who plays Saru. Of course, he has to go through he has to undergo prosthetics. I don't know how many hours he has to sit in front of the chair before he shoots his scenes for Star Trek Discovery. But that's Saru, and he also plays the fish creature in the Shape of Water. This was from 2016. So I miss doing red carpet interviews, man. Just being close range like this, without any fear of coronavirus. I hope we can do that again someday soon in the near future. But yeah, Doug Jones, one of the friendliest celebs that I've ever had the pleasure of talking with, and one of Guillermo del Toro's go-to guy, and of course Saru. Before I go, Daniel's Hot Topic says, can't wait to see this episode when it comes on Bflix. What do you rate this episode? What I rate this episode, I guess depends on what rating system I use. I guess if you are curious, and if I were to use a scale of 1 to 10, this episode is probably 8. 8. And it was really suspenseful and intense, especially when, like I said, when Michael Burnham's mother questions her own daughter like that. I was like, what the? It was more intense than many of the courtroom dramas in, like The Practice or Law and Order. Because it was supposed to be a hearing. It was not supposed to be a trial of Michael Burnham. Um, and also with the whole thing with Tillie, it was heartwarming. Tillie getting approval of her by her own mates, and yeah, I would give it an 8. To answer your question, from a scale of 1 to 10. Um, so yes, let's see here. Daniel's Hot Topics. Are you also hyped for the Section 31 show? There are rumors that David Cronenberg, a co-character, is Section 31, and he will recruit Giorgio in Section 31 at the time. Yes, yes. David Cronenberg is the character that showed up on that in that interrogation room. He's the one who kind of broke Philippa Giorgio, if you will. So am I hyped for it? Yes, am I hyped for? I am hyped for it. I'm a big fan of David Cronenberg, the filmmaker. And then now he's like doing this acting gig on Star Trek Discovery. I'm like fangirling, man. Yes. So to answer your question, I'm hyped about it. But it's not part of that story arc. Is not part of today's episode. And I don't know when we're gonna get to that soon enough. I'm sure soon enough. But it's not part of today's episode. Today's episode is again Michael Burnham, carrying the weight of the universe on her shoulders. That savior messiah complex, Michael Burnham, and yeah, seeing Leonard Nimoy show up. Oh, the feels. Oh my God, the feels. I love Leonard Nimoy. All right, you guys, I gotta sleep because you know what? Because in a few hours I gotta wake up and prepare for our 1 hour Q&A live stream. You and I, let us chat together. Be thankful for this tumultuous 2020 year. before we close this chapter and move on to 2021. So join me, all right, in a few hours at 7 a.m. California time, right here again, live stream live on Rama Screen YouTube channel. Join me on the chat, and ask me anything. Ask me anything, but ask it nicely, okay? I don't want you guys to be rude, or I don't want you guys to be rude to other commenters. Be polite, be nice, and I will answer all your questions. Okay? You can even ask me what I had for breakfast yesterday. It can be as silly as that. So yes, Thanksgiving Day live stream for 1 hour Q&A this coming morning at 7 a.m., which is about maybe less than 5 hours from now, or less than 6 hours, I should say. My math is off. So join me there. Thank you so much for tuning in right now. Daniel's Hot Topics, thank you for chatting with me. And if you have questions about today's episode, or if you agree or disagree with my assessment of today's episode, or if you have theories about today's episode and what's coming up next, let me know all of those thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, subscribe. All right? Live long and prosper. Bye, Rama. Take care. Nice. Bit thanks. Oh, thank you, Daniel's Hot Topics. You're very kind. Live long and prosper. I have been and always shall be your friend. Let's rock this.